My name's There we go. Hey, everybody. My name's Molly Pierce. I am the Public Information and Education Staff Officer for the city's Department of Emergency Management. If you're not familiar, our office, we like to say we're kind of the conductor of the orchestra that is emergency response and recovery on island. We are a very small office, but we are the kind of the hub that gets everybody out to that gets everybody out to coordinate and facilitate what we need to do. We have the Emergency Operations Center. That's the physical space where everyone actually gets together in some, event, hurricane, tsunami, flooding, most recently. And so what we do really is to serve as that connection point for non-routine collaboration. If it's an ordinary event, a regular road closure, regular, small scale landslide, something like that, folks don't need us. They know what to do. They have the resources. They coordinate like that on a regular basis. When things get outside of the norm, when something is non-routine, you've got a tsunami warning, you've got the significant potential for flash flooding, something like that. We bring folks in to give them that physical space and digital opportunity with our incident management system to do that coordination and collaboration to ensure that the resources that one entity, one department, one voluntary organization has go to the folks who need it the most to be the most effective in our response. So that's us in a real nutshell. Emergency management is one of the only things in kind of the government realm that starts local. We start and end local. A lot of things kind of, the state is more important than the city and the federal government is more important. But in terms of emergency management, that really isn't true. Jurisdiction stays with the city when an emergency happens. Even if we bring in the state or the feds, we're still the ones calling the shots. So that there is that ability to really have plans happen from the folks who know their area best. And that's then where our coordination and collaboration with non-government entities like this meeting comes in, where that's our connection point to have that even more granular level of information. What we are also trying to do is better prepare the community, both in terms of what you should have, your supply kit, that kind of thing, but also giving people more access to know what's coming. So with that, we have launched a new alert system for the city. Some of you may have been familiar with the city's previous HNL.info system that sent primarily emails to folks. I think some folks got push notifications. It was a great tool, but it wasn't very sophisticated. So what we've done is we have finally jumped into the present. I'm not going to say the future. We're in the present currently from a tech perspective. We are now using a system called Everbridge, and we've branded that as HNL Alert for ease and kind of consistency. I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can see if I can. Awesome. Are you guys seeing a website that has the HNL Alert banner?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So HNL Alert is a system that folks can get, still sharing? Okay. Sorry, my windows are moving around. You can get information of anything from the most important emergency updates on evacuations, that kind of thing, anything down to box jellyfish or traffic advisories, water breaks. And you can decide exactly what level of information you want to get. For some people, they're really, they want to know everything that's happening in their community, so they check every box. Or someone like me, I work in this space, I need to check every box. So there's a lot of options there. This system, I'm going to go in course, this bar is right over all my tabs. um, these are just an example of some of the current, most recent advisories that went out. So you can see there were Portuguese man o' war spotted today in Waikiki, so that went out. Um, but we also have now the opportunity. Sorry, I was getting calls on multiple phones just then. We now have the opportunity to automate weather notifications. So previously, in order for the city to push urgent weather information out to the public, someone had to go in, manually take the information from the National Weather Service, put it into a separate system, type it all in, make sure it was correct, and then send it. Of course, the National Weather Service, if any of you are familiar, their update cadence is 3 and 9. So 3 a.m., 3 p.m., 9 a.m., 9 p.m. That leaves a lot of room for error in the middle of the night on those forecast updates. Now we have these automated. So not only do they go out more accurately and more quickly, you get them at the same time we do. So for anything that is going to happen, there's no delay. You're getting information the same time that emergency managers are. So that's kind of just the quick what you can know on the system. I'm going to go back to this sign in page and tell you guys a little bit about the different ways you can get the information. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second, just because everything, there's too many windows. Essentially, there are 3 ways that people can get alerts from HL Alert. You can either get push notifications from a mobile app, if you're one of the kind of top tier tech savvy type folks. There's a kind of mid tech tier where you can go online, make a profile, and then you'll get emails sent. Or if you want just the bare bones, only the most urgent things, you don't want to have to pick, you don't want to have to make any level of choices in this, you can just text HL Alert to 888-777. And then that is all you have to do. Your phone is enrolled and you can get the most urgent, basically any weather warning. So anything that would be of risk to life or limb, any kind of large scale like boil water notices, things like that. All of those things would be sent via text. You wouldn't have to do anything else to get those. That's the real ins and outs on the system. And then I also wanted to share with you, and I'm just going to drop this in the chat rather than showing it because it's not all that exciting to show people on screen. It's more exciting if you have a use for it. In our website, we've put a lot of collateral so that folks can help get the word out on the system. If you use it and you like it and you want to get more people information about it, we've put resources for folks, any kinds of posters, handouts, things like that, social media posts, they're all on our website so that you can share those around as well. And then for smaller organizations, kind of at that community partner level. Sorry, Miku, do I need to click admit on the person that just popped up? Or
don't worry, I'll take care of
it. Awesome. Sorry. Yeah, so we have resources available to smaller groups that wouldn't ordinarily have resources or budget or whatever other constraint to give out some collateral if you have food distributions, small, community work days, whatever those kinds of events may be. We have a form that folks can fill out to actually request physical materials. We have a limited quantity, so we are trying to kind of give those out to the folks that have a lot of the right balance of a lot of reach and not a lot of resources. So we are trying to get those delivered out as quickly as possible. But I'll drop the link to all of that in the chat. I definitely do not need my full 20 minutes, Miku, so I'm happy to answer any questions. It's real simple. We wanted to make it as easy as possible.
Okay. But so I have some questions. And,
Yeah, go ahead.
we at the Be Ready. Okay, so and also for those that have just joined, welcome, welcome. Hi, Adelina. We get started. Um, uh, the okay, so first question I have is just for everybody in the room. This is you can either raise your hand if your cameras are on and you're being awesome with those cameras on, or you can use an emoji or something like that. So I'm just going to ask the question: how many of you right now are getting emergency alert notifications and are following them? I heard the mic. I know. Okay. I figured this group. You figured this group would be a lot. It's looks like I'm looking at a maybe a half. Okay, still that's only half. That's the reason I'm asking about it. And because how do we get this information out, right? How do we get this correct information, right information out to all of our people and all of our hubs and all of our networks? I follow the emergency alert Everbridge before. I had it actually for Big Island alerts. Now I just updated it and I had HNL info. And so then I went and I updated it. And if you guys go and you look at your HNL info screen, there's now a new message that says, hey, you can't find it here. You have to go to the new one, right? So for anyone that was following it before, and this stuff seems simple, but when I talk to people about it, there's actually like the practical, like how do you actually do it? So I went and I downloaded it. And this is my question, Molly. And my question is kind of like, what do we do if we get stuck? And is there extra training, or you have little groups of people coming in with their phones being like, help us? So like this one, I'm pretty tech savvy. It just says error. And I'm going to guess it's because I already have an account with Everbridge.
Sorry, I can't see the screen.
It says,
Do you want to? Yeah.
it says error. That's all.
Okay.
But we don't have to troubleshoot it here. It's sort of my big question is, what do people do if they get stuck? And then are there like extra resources? Because I have found that using phone app communications, like in my experience, especially for maybe older than 50, it's nice to have a group where you can go in, you can bring your phone app, and it takes like 45 minutes and people are like having trouble with it. Is there anything like that available or that you anticipate in the future for folks just trying to get into the system?
Yeah, so there are a lot of digital resources for folks who are savvy there. I bet if I sent you to them, you could make your error go away. But we are in the process of filming a bunch of little snippet tutorials. Basically, if this is your problem, watch this 30 seconds. And putting those all on our website so they are separate from any Everbridge issue. My guess, Miku, is that you are in that small minority that had a previous account and is running into that issue. And then the other side of it is for those folks who just are not going to want to wade through an app, we're strongly pushing the text option because then they don't have to do anything.
Okay.
And then for folks who want to have some kind of gathering, we haven't had enough people want something like that. I'm not saying the desire isn't there, it just hasn't been communicated. We always are happy to host presentations as requested. We don't have a schedule of open houses per se for this. However, we are going to every single mayor's town hall. And I am physically downloading the app onto people's phones if they need that help. I have touched more cell phones in the past few weeks than I feel like a tech support worker at this point.
Yes.
But yeah, we are looking to expand that.
Okay.
I will drop my email in the chat if anyone has
perfect. I imagine this
suggestions.
I just imagine this is exactly the group that would possibly have enough people to maybe have you come in. So, but I do see hands raised. So I'm not sure the stack, but I saw Joe, then Glenn, then Susan. So let's go, Joe.
Aloha. I just wanted to say that I know that there are people doing Kupuna technology classes, and I think that maybe if you're interested, I can try and connect you with some of those folks. It could be one of the potential things that they cover in these ongoing tech classes that exist. So I can try and loop you guys in on that if that would be something of interest or an outreach strategy.
definitely. We are, and I did neglect to say, we are also working with our city Office on Elderly Affairs
Okay.
to get into their network of folks, but those folks are usually already kind of connected to some other provider who could help them. So this, I think, would be really great to get it into an ongoing curriculum as well. That's awesome,
Cool.
Joe. Thank you.
And thanks, Joe. I think we had Glenn next.
Yes, hi, Molly. I have the same problem that Mika had on her cell phone. I set up the account and I got subscribed to all these content on the mainland, and I had to just shut them down. And I couldn't figure out how to add on one for my local app.
I
I
have
also
one
set up,
question for all the folks who just nodded. What app did you download? My guess is that you were in an app called Everbridge, not an app called Public Safety. And Public Safety is the Everbridge app, which is a very frustrating, confusing, stupid thing that I cannot fix, unfortunately. But if you go into the app called Public Safety, you will not have that problem.
It's this one. Okay, so this one here, that's the one, public safety with the right logo. This was the old one, and then this is the one they use for Big Island. So theoretically, I'm pretty sure this is the right one because it says public safety and it's got the right.
Is it like a little kind of blue steering wheel life ring looking thing?
Yeah.
Yes, then that is the correct app. The big blue check mark, not the correct app.
Yeah, I think. Okay, I think it's a different problem, but yeah, you can see even amongst us, yeah. So we're a great test case population. So maybe it would be nice if we had something where we came together in person and we just kind of all worked it out. Because then once we learn it, then we could train everyone else we work with too.
Yeah, and to Atalina, yes, that is correct. You have the right one. But one thing, if anyone is running into this now, one thing that we did do is if you go to hnlalert.gov, the direct links to the Google Store and the Apple App Store for the app are there. So we did try to put that so that people didn't have to go hunting. And that is one of the ones that we're putting into our kind of how to repertoire. Because this is something the vendor is supposed to sunset that old app sometime this year. And then everything moves to the new one, but who knows when that happens. Technology does not move at the speed of technology. Sorry, Glenn, I would think you were halfway through a question.
Well, I had another question. I think when I was signing up, I think I was signing up for Everbridge because it asked me for my name and contact information, and I don't think it's necessary, right, to set up for public safety, right? You can just sign up as a guest or something.
Yeah, so you have multiple options there. You can either do a full profile and then you can customize everything you want, or you can just go into the app as a guest and just look at everything. The only issue if you do that is you would only be getting push notifications from the app. You wouldn't get emails or text messages or anything like that. So if the app, your phone needed to update or something, you may not realize that you're not getting the notifications anymore. So you just have to be aware, just like any other app at that point.
So anyone in the general public probably just want to sign up as a guest.
It depends. If they want to control what types of notifications they're getting, say they want to know about, traffic and beaches and high surf and that kind of thing, then they'd probably want a full account, because that would be the only way to get those. If they just want those, they just want kind of the most urgent things and then just to kind of scroll through to look at everything else, then you are correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think Clem's got a question, and then also that link didn't work for me, Molly.
Which link?
To the HL alert page. Did it work for you guys? It says page does not seem to exist.
Did you spell it?
I just copied.
Sorry.
Else?
HNL alert.
Because you guys all went there, right? She posted it in the chat. So that means all of my amazing student leaders obviously went and clicked on it and then started downloading it, right, you guys?
It doesn't work.
Okay, Zach just put the right link up.
Okay, I'm going to type HNL. Oh, it's because I put two hyperlinks in one.
There we go. Yeah, correct links in
Here.
the chat.
This one should work.
All the student leaders, please download it and install it now. Maybe test it later. Perfect, thanks. Okay, and then over to Clem.
Yeah, Molly, I've subscribed to the app, and it's the public safety that looked like a steering wheel. But the problem is I don't have any notification. So I don't know what's going on. I click for various notification like weather, emergency alert, whatever. And I'm in the city county of Honolulu, which is checked off. I live in Kailua, but and got my profile, everything's in there, but I getting no notification. So I don't know what's happening.
Sure. Once I'm done presenting, Clem, I'll go into the system because I know your information. I'll look to make sure that on my end that yours is set up. And then I'll message you back to see what's going on. Because that sounds like a specific issue rather than a system issue.
I'm having the same issue. I'm having the exact same issue.
Are you in the system under your name as it is spelled in your little picture title?
Okay, I don't know. Anyway, my suggestion is come to neighborhood. I'm with the Eva Beach Neighborhood Board. It would be nice if you would come to neighborhood boards and do this because
agreed. Yeah.
I'm not getting it.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have the bandwidth to go to every single board because it's just me. But we are happy to if requested go to individual ones that are having especially having trouble or over the next year or so go. But I unfortunately can't go to all 33 boards.
Okay, thank you.
The next
This might be something, Molly, this might be something we can help with, especially to get our student leaders trained up. And they're also already going to board meetings and things. So maybe we can chat with you about that since we do try to go to all the neighborhood board meetings at least periodically. So yeah, so we'll work with you, see if I got to figure out my issues too. That's what
perfect. Yeah.
So I'm really glad.
I have trained up. I have also trained up all the mayor's reps that go to the boards, so they should also be able to assist folks.
Okay.
The mayor's reps and then the neighborhood assistants.
We've
given them all the FAQs and materials as well, so they should. They may not be the most skillful, beautiful ambassadors, but hopefully they have some capacity there as well to assist.
All right, I want to move us along if we can. And Molly, I don't know if you are able to stay, but at 4 o'clock we could also offer a breakout room and to have people come in and just talk to you there as another option.
Provided that breakout room can end by 4:30, because I do have to drive out to a town hall tonight, and I need to leave the office in time to get there.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. And then you guys have other questions, then you can jump into that room with Molly and then see if you can troubleshoot it on the spot, which might be really nice. So, okay, so that we'll wrap it up there. I'm gonna offer a round of applause for Molly. Thanks for coming out. Technology things are not always the easiest. So thank you very much for sharing as we all make this transition. Okay, so with that, I would like to kind of hand the spotlight and the mic over to Sarah Harris, who actually, for some of you, are meeting for the very first time, but has been working with me for quite some time with originally the Action 15 project, looking at resilience hubs more broadly on Oahu, and then now supporting our hub community and just hubs in general. And so I invited her here mostly because she hasn't come yet to these meetings, and to introduce herself and share, Sarah, anything you'd like to about your work. And then also there was a question about the CAP workshops that are happening right now, and maybe let people know about those. So I'll just pass the mic over to you.
Is it okay if I share my screen? Okay, great. I'm sending this request. Okay. Yes, so thank you so much for being here today. It's not just myself. I'm actually here as well with my colleagues, Emily McKinney. She is our Equity Program Manager, and then Madeline Kruger. She's our Sea Grant Groff Fellow supporting our Hazards Program. So just as Miku shared, we really wanted to take this as an opportunity to do a meet and greet with you all. So Madeline, Emily, and I are going to just do a brief presentation today to just give a little bit more background on our office, sort of how we got involved in supporting Resilience Hub work and the Hub learning community. And then Emily is going to share out on the CAP, so the Climate Action Plan update, and some of the opportunities to get involved with engagement with that. So for now, I will kick it over to Madeline to start us off, please.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm with the hazards team in the Office of Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resiliency. And, oh, sorry, I got a bit of a lag. Okay. In 2016, the voters established CCSR to respond to climate change and increase resiliency island-wide, which amended the city charter. And in 2020, the council adopted Ordinance 20-47, which further codified CCSR's responsibilities. And we work to green city operations, reduce climate and emissions and impacts. We coordinate with state and federal agencies, climate change commissions, ensure sustainable city plans and policies, and promote resilient communities. Next slide, please. Our team works across key sectors: adaptation, communication, energy, equity, food, hazards, and policy to address global challenges in our ever-changing world. Slide, please. We have 4 programs within the department that actively work towards addressing key challenges facing our community from climate change: adaptation, energy, food, and hazards. And then we have these 3 programs that work across the office with all of the teams: equity, policy, and communications. Next slide, please.
So I'm going to share just a little bit. Probably this is not new to many of you on this call today. You're probably here because you have an interest in resilience from multiple perspectives. Because our team is the hazard mitigation team, we do always just like to talk a little bit about some of the climate hazards that are impacting our communities, recognizing that resilience hubs serve a much more important role in these blue sky times with community, peeling a building, and just a lot of the other challenges our communities face day to day. But just for awareness, some of the different natural hazards that are anticipated to either become more severe or more frequent or more intense under changing climate conditions include sea level rise and coastal erosion, rising temperatures, drought, wildfire, hurricane, and flash flooding. Without getting into too much detail, we're already experiencing many, if not all, of these impacts here on Oahu. So we just really think that it's valuable to know what some of these hazards are, and we're really supportive of Resilience Hub work. So when we talk about resilience from our office perspective, Madeline is going to get into this a little bit more, but we find it's really helpful to ground that conversation and what do we mean by resilience. So our office describes this as the capacity of individuals, communities, institutions, businesses, and systems to survive, adapt, and thrive, no matter what kind of chronic stresses and acute shocks they experience. So for today, when we talk about resilience, that's what we were referring to, and Madeline will also share a little bit about how we came to this definition.
So some of the documents that our work is shaped from include the OLA, which is our resilience strategy. It was adopted in 2019, and it's the foundational document that guides our work. It lays out 44 actions within 4 key pillars, and these are remaining rooted, bouncing forward, climate security, and community cohesion. The Climate Action Plan, which is the one here in yellow, One Climate, One Oahu, is currently being updated for 2025 to 2030, and my colleague Emily will be sharing more on this later in this presentation. Climate Ready Oahu is our climate adaptation strategy, and it provides strategies and actions that the city and community members can make in equitably adapting to climate change. There's 3 main visions, and these are an empowered and prepared people, safeguarded and stewarded INA, and safe and reliable infrastructure. And finally, we also have the annual sustainability report, which actually just came out the other day. It's released annually on Earth Day. And this tracks and reports overall city performance in meeting sustainability objectives and targets. It compiles sustainability goals and objectives and tracks specific measurements and indicators from activities across Oahu. Next slide, please. So from the the OLA resilience strategy, which was informed by community voices. Over 2,200 residents were asked on a scale of 1 to 10, how resilient do you think Oahu is today? And the result was 3.9. So resilience is a concern for our community, and this document shapes a lot of the work our office does. So we will continue to try to increase island-wide resilience. Next slide, please. The Action 15 project stemmed from the OLA Resilience Strategy Action 15, which is to develop a network of community resilience hubs island-wide. In support of this, the city partnered with Serene to complete the Action 15 project. It focused on 3 key objectives: fostering partnerships, identifying potential hub locations, and working with residents to identify what programs and services are desired from resilience hubs. Next slide, please. Sorry. The Action 15 project engaged over 3,000 residents through 110 outreach events and 16 project facilitated workshops. Part of the outreach efforts included an island-wide survey. The purpose of this survey was to identify the level of support for resilience hubs, or one of the goals of the survey was to identify the level of community support for resilience hubs. And in each district, as well as island-wide, the survey participants strongly support the development of community resilience hubs. You can see it divided here into each of the districts on island, as well as the overall island-wide support of 82.5% people supporting the development of a community resilience hub network. Next slide, please.
So before I pass it over to Emily to share about the climate action plan update, we just want to give some kind of next steps on where the progress is going. Oh, I see what you're talking about with the lag. So we're continuing to work to support Resilience Hub establishment and the network's development. We're continuing to support the Hub learning community. We're currently working on finding ways to continue that through capability and capacity throughout both this Hub learning network and a lot of the other efforts that are happening in this space. So we do recommend, if you're interested and you haven't had an opportunity yet, please check out the Action 15 final report. And please just know that the city is continuing to explore where and how we can support these efforts. And with that, Emily, please go ahead and share about the CAP.
Hi, so mahalo for giving me a few minutes. I'm here to quickly share out on the work we're doing with the CAP update and invite you to come to one of our upcoming community workshops. So to be completely transparent, my main goal is to have you come out to one of these workshops. So because the art of being subtle escapes me, we're going to begin and end with this slide. At the bottom of my slides will be the website to our community outreach page for the Climate Action Plan, where you can take a survey, register for the workshops, wink, wink, or better understand the update itself with detailed timeline and deeper explanations of our goals and intentions for this plan. Next slide, please. So the Climate Action Plan, or CAP, is Oahu's roadmap to reduce emissions and make sure our island remains livable for generations to come. It's guided by goals like 100% renewable energy and net zero emissions by 2045, but it's not just about the numbers. It's about community-centered solutions that support affordability, equity, and well-being. So we update the plan every 5 years, and our last one was 2020, from 2020 to 2025. Boiled down to its core, it is a plan of what actions the city government can take to reduce its own emissions. The original plan, the 2020 to 2025 plan, was focused on transportation, electricity, and waste. But we've heard from communities that many of these actions felt too abstract and too removed from everyday life. So the update is about recentering the plan around community voices and community realities, with a huge emphasis on making sure that the actions the city proposes and takes not only benefits the community, but does not harm them. Next slide, please. So we've expanded our focus areas from 3, transportation, energy, and food system and waste, to now adding in community energy, the sustainable communities and food systems. It's more appropriate to say we're not just adding new sections, but we're trying to change how we approach climate action and this plan. And the way we're doing this is, next slide, please. The workshops. So through these workshops, we will be diving into the climate actions the city has created with the help of community feedback that have been gathered through outreach events, conversations with community-based organizations, city department meetings, and the CAP steering committee. At these workshops, we will have space to discuss what benefits each action contribute to the community, not simply just about reduction of emissions. We will discuss harms these climate actions create for the community, and then finally understand the community benefits needed from each community. All of these discussions and information we gather at the workshops will then inform whether the climate action, 1, remains the same, 2, change to include community benefits, or are changed to reduce the community harms that it creates, or will completely remove the action itself. So last plug, please come, bring a friend, bring your keiki, eat some food, bring your concerns, and please RSVP at the website on the bottom of this slide. I also just want to do a shout out that Joe is on our CAP committee, and Susan was at our last community workshop. So I'll pass it over to Sarah.
Thank you, Emily, for sharing. Thank you, Madeline, too, for sharing. And with that, I'll do my own plug. If you're interested in learning more about our office, please follow us on social media or subscribe to our newsletter. Almost all of this is available on our website. So just for convenience, in addition to a lot of the CAP stuff, in case you missed it, Madeline dropped that in the chat for folks. But you can always just go to resilientoahu.org, and all of this is available with a little bit of scrolling. And then just finally, thank you so much for being here today. Emily's email address is not on this slide, but she was on this last one, and you probably will have more questions for her. So I will just leave us on this slide to end this and just say a big mahalo again for your time and letting us share today about our office and the work that we're doing. And I will also give one last plug. Please do come to these workshops. We really want your input and your feedback. So,
I have a follow-up question, and thank you. Thank you. Come on, give me a round of applause. They don't get a round of applause that often. It makes people feel good. Thanks, you guys. This is about resilience and wellness, right? So, okay, the follow-up question is it helpful if people care about resilience hubs to somehow bring that up in these conversations for the CAPs? Because actually, remember, and I was going to ask you what's the difference between Climate Ready Oahu and the climate action plans, actually. But right, it seems like it'd be important for people to go to these if they want to try to get resilience hubs on the map as part of these conversations. Is that right?
Yeah, so I guess Susan actually wanted to learn about the Resilience Hub, and here she is. So, but it's also anything said at these workshops we have to address. And if it's not necessarily so the climate action is what the city can do, is like within the city's jurisdictions. But say, water, clean water has been brought up multiple times, and it's not necessarily in our jurisdiction to do anything about, but it is brought up enough times that we have to address it. I guess that's the best answer I really have.
Okay. So we'll say that, yes, it's probably important if you guys go to these and send your people to these, especially if you want to have this as part of the conversations going forward and create rationale evidence, right, for why you need policy support investment in these areas. we are running short on time, so we're going to do like maybe 2 more minutes. And then I was actually going to ask if anyone from CCSR can stay on after. We can actually have a breakout room just for that, for folks that want to check in with you if you guys want to do that. But yeah, Susan, you had your hand up?
Yeah, just very quick. I really enjoyed the workshop Emily is speaking about. And yeah, we had really good conversation and really good follow-up questions and made me think a lot. And the food was good. The Thai noodles are excellent. So I recommend it.
Thanks, Susan. And I think, yeah, there were some questions in the chat, so maybe we can address some of those after or in a breakout or follow-up. But Joe had hand up too.
Aloha, how's it, everybody? My question is about the climate ready Oahu and the climate adaptation plan versus the climate mitigation. Sorry, I'm mixing things up, but the climate ready Oahu, I think, is the one that's really fun, and that's the one that included the Action 15. I'm wondering what cadence you guys have for updating that one, knowing that the climate action plan is we're on the 5-year. Miku, I can answer what was shared with me. The climate action plan, in my understanding, was about mitigating emissions, and then the climate adaptation plan is about how we react to the conditions created by climate change. So a lot of the things that I was most excited to speak about were addressing the climate adaptation plan. And a lot of the actions that have been proposed so far in the climate action plan are things like electrifying the bus fleet or reducing emissions from our waste streams. I do think that, thank you so much, Climate Ready Oahu. I kept on saying the wrong words for that. But I'm interested to know what cadence all of these documents get updated on, and what, knowing that Climate Ready Oahu only came out like 2 years ago or something like that. Yeah, just wanted to check in on that. Thank you. No plans to update. That's the easiest answer. Thank you so much. So I guess this is the chance, if you want to comment on something in Climate Ready Oahu, then this would be your chance.
I think that we'll probably continue to have conversations about, bringing hubs into these things, and then also the Sustainable Communities Plan. Also, we're having some conversations about maybe the state level cap. So we'll just keep chatting about it. But as much as you can, go to these things, tell of your people to go to these things and say hubs, right? And that'll help get us on the map, get more investment, more support for it in all the ways that we really need. Let's see. Okay, so we are coming up against time, so we're just gonna, I think, close it there. I did make an extra breakout room if people want to hop into it, but we're moving into the last part here. So let's see, Sarah, we'll have you guys end your screen share. And then, great. Okay, and then I'm gonna stop this part of the recording here.